Hi, we are back to talk more about how to preserve your precious memories. I'm Mindy Turner with the Curry County Cooperative Extension Service, your family and consumer science agent. This is part 2. Last time we learned about covering an album and reusing old 3-ring binders to do that. So I encourage you to go out as we talk about what you need and supplies. There's a great place to start in putting together some scrapbooking items. I have so much stuff and it is all so fun. I'm so excited. I'm going to share a lot of information with you today. So what I want to start off with is getting you started with, hey, what are some things to avoid? And it's a lot of those traditional things that we've always done. So first of all, when we talk about papers and putting together all the things we want, that traditional construction paper that we all used in school to cut things out, and it's perfect, and that's what it's for. When we talk about archiving our memories and putting things together, we want to avoid that type of paper. Traditional construction paper, just the elementary construction paper, is has a lot more acid in it. It fades. We've all seen that. Sometimes the colors can bleed onto other things. So that's not the type of paper we're going to want to use as we're scrapbooking and putting together our photo items. The other thing, and I grew up in a house full of these. My family's wonderful about putting together photo albums and keeping our stuff. And so we use what we have at the time. But one of the things we want to avoid today, some of you will remember these self-sticking photo albums. Okay, and so what happens with these, because of the type of adhesive that's in here, you can see how it's kind of yellowed. Also, if we did want to take that photo out, even just to scan it or do something else with it, some of them don't come out at all, or some of them fell out completely. So just depending on what that was used for, where it's been, how it was stored, these are not great for keeping things, they're good for keeping things together, but not great for making sure you have the best possible way to preserve, particularly your photos. So we are going to start, you're going to want to figure out what photos, what is it that I want to keep, that I want to have, whether I'm going to digitally print those myself or take them and have them printed. So we're going to select the photos we're going to use. So the examples I have from you today, as I mentioned, this is one of our 4-H projects that we do with the scrapbooking and teaching the kiddos to preserve their memories. And so my son actually did this as a project last year. And so you can see we picked photos. These are from a specific horse event. And so we did a 2-page layout. You can see the matching and the information with the 2 pages, and then a 1-page layout where we selected from our scrapbook papers, our cardstocks, all of those things I'm fixing to talk to you about. But so we started off with, hey, these are the pictures I want to use. This is what I want to have. This is the story I want to tell with those photos. So once you've picked out your photos, you're going to start to think about all of the other supplies that you can have and use. Some of these things you're going to have around your house. I bet you've already got them. They're there. And you're going to be like, oh yeah, I have that stuck away somewhere in a closet. But so let's start with the papers. Like I said, we're going to want to look at having some cardstock. Cardstock is that heavier weight of paper. Now you can purchase it. These are what we call bricks for scrapbooking paper, different types of paper. Usually they'll have a theme or coordinating colors. You can see this one is all the blues, beautiful papers and all different blues that you can use. Some of them might have, along with the colors, variety of textures or different types of, so this one has some woods and some different types of walls, things that you might see. So these are fantastic. Watch for them to be on sale because scrapbooking paper can get very expensive. I find if you check the clearance at the craft stores or your big box stores, places like that, sometimes you can find them marked down significantly and pick that up. And then look, I mean, this is ginormous. This was 180 different papers. So this is going to make a lot of projects and things that you want to work on. You can also buy paper in individual sheets that have the pattern or the print that you want. And so you can purchase just what you need to do a special or a specific project. So along with that, these are 12 by 12 bricks. Typically they're going to come the 12 by 12. You can always do the 8.5 by 11, the standard size, or now you can, if you're getting like a 5 by 5 album or a 4 by 6, you can see a lot of different types and sizes of this. But you can always purchase the bigger size, cut them down to fit whatever you want them to fit. And speaking of cutting down, so then that's going to be one of the things too. A lot of people, and when we talk about fabrics and papers, this is what I'm gonna tell you, don't throw away your scraps. Okay, these are decent sized scraps that, and as I go through tomorrow, I'm going to show you how to make something else where we actually used a scrap to finish it off. So being able to coordinate, to add to your papers, to put that on there, you're going to want to save these pieces. This might be great behind a photo as something that you're going to use for a mat. So consider your papers, all of your products, whatever you're using. If you're really trying to preserve memories, that's the goal. We want to make sure that those items are what we would call archival safe. So just like we talked about with the sticky book, we want things that are not going to yellow or fade or eat away our photos or bleed through our photos, things like that. So we want to make sure that those are on there. So some of the terms you're going to see on those products, it's going to say acid free. So that's something that's not going to eat away. It might say, for instance, we have some different types of markers and pens. Every marker and pen is not going to be 100% the best for this. One of the things that people really, the gel pens are great because of the type of ink that's in them. And you'll see like on the package, it tells you that it's going to be fade resistant. Okay, that's going to be an important piece of what we want to see. Or it's going to, again, these will often say acid-free, archival safe, something like that on the package. So, you know, okay, that's something I can take and use forever. And I'm sure, again, we all have those photos that our grandmothers and people just use their ballpoint pen to write on the back. And now you can read it from the front because it, over time, that ink just kind of ate into that photo. So we want to be careful about what we're using on our papers and in our books to do that. So once we have some papers picked out, we've got some things to write with, we're going to want to journal and put personal notes and information on there. Depending on your handwriting, it's nice to have things with personal handwriting on them, but some of us don't have the best handwriting. It's not neat, it doesn't look great. So you can always use, you saw on Denny's where he typed up his captions and we just used the printer and printed those off from the computer. So however you choose to do that is okay. You're just going to want to make sure that you're using the appropriate products for that. So some of the things to consider then too, once we have all that, is how we're going to stick it together. What are the ways that we can attach it? I'm still a glue stick fan, don't worry. One of the tips I will give you when you are using just traditional glue sticks, and I tell our 4-H kiddos this when they make posters, put the glue on whatever you're attaching and the main surface. So like if you're doing a photo, put it on the photo and on the paper so that glue bonds to the glue. It will last longer and it will stay longer. You have to be very careful. Again, you want to read and check on those glue sticks. Not all glue sticks are created equal. So whether you buy the name brand or an off brand, you just want to read the package and kind of make sure, what is it made to do? How long is it made to last? It's nice when you're scrapbooking. We're going to talk, you want to lay everything out ahead of time and decide where you want it before you attach everything. But you may need to shift or move something. So those glues and those different types of items that you can, a lot of the glue sticks, some of our spray glues, which I don't recommend spray glue for the paper. We did use it on our book to hold our fabric and stuff together. But they will allow you to, oh, I don't really want it there. And you've got a little bit of time to take it off and move it without destroying your entire project. So some of the things, traditional craft glue, good old white glue, it's hard to get it smooth. That's one of the things when we're working with paper. Sometimes it will crinkle, it will eat up that paper. And it's not meant to be a long time thing. And it's hit and miss. It's funny because you'll pull something out one of your kids made 20 years ago and it's still all stuck together, but then the next one is just kind of disintegrated. So again, we have to check the labels and be very careful about how, depending on our purpose, what we use this for. Mod Podge is a beautiful thing. We can use this in our projects with our stuff. Typically, this is not what we use for scrapbooking and that type of a project, but it will work for holding your items together. And when you read, there's different types. We've talked about this when we did our decoupage program. And so there's different types and you want to read the label. What was it designed for? What's it made for? What color is it going to dry to be? How long is it intended to last? And it will tell you that information. Okay, good old rubber cement. This is another way. It's great for photos. Again, I would suggest, and it's going to tell you on the label and how you use it, that you put a strip on your photo and you put a strip on the background, and then you fuse those things together with your rubber cement. Rubber cement can be messy. If you're working with kids, it can be really tough. Some people really, the smell really gets to them on this type of an adhesive. So it's just something you kind of trial and error you want to play with to see how it works. And then of course, because we want things to last a long time, we'll go, oh, well, I want to use that industrial strength adhesive to put that together. You don't need that. We want to use things that are specifically designed and utilized for crafting. For instance, even just with your spray adhesives, some of those are industrial strength now. They're made to actually do construction work. You don't need that to use your paper. As a matter of fact, it's going to make a big mess and be really hard to clean up. So we want to make sure we have craft appropriate supplies, but that they are the low acid, the fade proof, the archival safe when we do that. Some other fun ways that you can attach things. Hot glue is hard with paper because it gets bumpy, it sticks out on everything, so we want to be careful with that unless we're using larger embellishments, which we're going to get to in just a second. But craft tapes, different decorative tapes that can be used to put in. Now again, you want to be careful with these. Sometimes they don't hold things like you want. So it's nice to put a little glue on that to hold it down. Maybe you're going to use your glue dots for that. I highly recommend these, are super fun. They make scrapbooking tapes where you can run it across there and attach your items. All of that is made specifically for the types of projects we're talking about. And then you use this tape as an accent or a little extra reinforcement. Something, again, that I used to see all the time that we just don't see as much anymore. Photo corners that you actually just slide on the corners of your photo, and then this adheres to the paper or the album, wherever you're putting that. So it gives it that little decorative edge, but it also is going to hold it in place. And you can slide that photo back out later if you need to take it out to use for something. So there's lots of options for your adhesives and how you want to attach things. Cutting things, making things cutesy and do. These are fantastic paper edgers. They cut different types. I'm not sure how well you can see all of that, but they cut different types of edges on the paper. So if I took my paper and I say, okay, I'm going to use this cool edger to do it, instead of having a straight line, when I cut that, I'm going to have a fancy trim. Okay, and this particular package has, I think, 12 different ones that have all different types of edges that you can put on your items. Little craft cutters are great. They're handy if there's something small you need to cut out, if you just need to trim an edge and make it straight. Large paper cutters. These come in a variety of sizes depending on the size of your product. You don't have to spend a bunch of money to go out and do this, because guess what works? Scissors. If you're one of those, we talked last time about those very precise people that has to be exact, I recommend you use some type of a cutting like this, rulers and cuttings. Otherwise, scissors, guys. I will, a lot of times, if you line up your edges, make that 90 degrees so that this is straight on straight and you get it folded straight, you will have a straight edge at whatever measurement you need. And you can definitely just cut that with scissors. That's the other nice piece about the fun edgers. It's not 100% straight. It's going to be okay because you've got the design and the pattern. So another fun thing for cutting, you can see my holes here in the paper. These are just punches, little craft punches. This one is the heart. You slide your paper in there and you push the button. And so you can use it to make the hollowed out piece, or you can slide the bottom off of this and take the hearts out, and now you've made your own die cuts. So that's a fun thing, to use the punches to put that together. Die cuts are simply things that are already cut to use. You can purchase packages, you can cut them out yourself. Some people, you may have a silhouette or a Cricut type cutter, and that's what they're for, is making those types of items that then you can use on your page. Sometimes we just can't find that exact thing we want in the right color, the right paper, whatever that is. So that's a great alternative for that. So when we talk about that, using your die cuts, using your punches, how we're going to embellish our page, what are the things we're going to add to do that, to make it kind of cutesy and homey and finish it out. I'm going to move a couple of these to the floor so we can see. So flowers, there's all types of stickers, and you can see I have some 3D stickers and then some more transparent stickers that we can add on there. Ribbons and decorative trims that you can put somewhere on your page that you can attach. Again, check your glues. Most of your scrapbook type tapes and glues are going to be able to handle this, to hold it on. This might be where you want a little dot of hot glue to get it in place and to hold it. We found these great, just at the craft store, these great wooden cutouts. They're thin, they're lightweight, super cute to decorate a scrapbook page or the front of your album like we talked about last time. Things that you can add. Stamps are a great way to put a little emphasis on something, to add a little personality, something else that you can put with your page. Okay, and then finally, one of the things you'll notice on our completed scrapbook pages that we have some page protectors. So these are not just the little page protectors you might buy at the office supply store. You can get these there too, but you're gonna wanna look for the ones that are specifically made for archiving and saving items, because again, sometimes we can purchase those really inexpensive ones. They may be a little more flimsy and they may just not last as long or preserve things the way that you would like. So you wanna make sure that they're acid free, that this is not something that's gonna heat up in our wonderful New Mexico sun and cause a problem with your item. And so we are going to want to put that together in a way that it can stay forever, that you can save it and keep it. And again, these come in all the different sizes. You can, there's the 12 by 12, and they will be made for different types of books. So you want to make sure what you're getting, these are specifically made for posts or a binder so that it's got holes there. Some will be made with kind of a clip on there with a loop that are made to hook on a specific type of album. So you're going to want to think ahead and plan for what you're going to do, because again, these things can really add up. You don't have to have any type of a page protector on there. You can also purchase scrapbook frames that are made to be the sizing of the papers, and that's a wonderful gift. Give a little extra, put a little extra to remember that, to journal some tips or a quote or something special to go along with that photo, and then you put it in that scrapbook frame to give as a gift instead of just a traditional photo. So there are lots of options, supplies, things that you can get out there and use. We want you to think about that what's going to be the best thing for you, to not incur a bunch of extra cost, but also to keep your memories, because it's very disappointing to have something that you've put together that you want to have, and a couple years later, 10, 20 years later, you go back and that's disintegrated. It's not there anymore and you don't have that. So we've been talking about how to preserve your memories, some tips on the types of supplies and what you want to have to make that happen. Over the next couple of weeks, we're going to talk about specifics of putting things together and some other tips and ideas for what you can do to do that, as well as a little bit about digital scrapbooking. Again, I'm Mindy Turner with the Curry County Cooperative Extension Service. I appreciate you taking the time with me today, and I will see you here next time.